What's up, guys? It is Sam here. Have you ever wondered what was actually going on with the Democratic candidates that are running for president, right? We can hear some pundit say this, or some talking head say that, or some news organization say this. Or we could take a look at these polls, right? Real Clear Politics has polls here. The last 5 polls that they've released or that they've aggregated, from one from Fox News, one from Emerson, one from The Economist, one from Mammoth, and one from CNN, they all have sample sizes of 500 people or less. And they're trying to say that this is representative of the population of 300 plus million people. So where do we turn to? Well, let's look at the data. And that's what we wanted to talk about today in our Facebook rankings of the Democratic candidates who are running for president. So if this is your first time here, what's good? My name is Sam, and for those of you who are returning, it's good to freaking see you. Let's get into it. So as you can see here, this is the sample size for the last 5 polls from that have been aggregated on Real Clear Politics. And if you were to take away all of the biases associated with gathering the data and asking the questions and the sampling, and you were able to actually get 500 random people to participate, and you didn't have all these other issues associated with it, this could be pretty accurate. But if we look at 2016, it wasn't. But the data showed it was a different direction. So we're going to use Facebook here. And if you look at Facebook, this is according to Statistica.com. They gather engagement and other popularity metrics for websites around the world. And they actually just gather just different statistics around companies. And they have estimated this, and this numbers are reported by Facebook, for 2018, 220 million people plus in the United States who are using Facebook every month. So those numbers, like when you think about a sample size for this, they'll go to some database, right? And maybe the database has 50,000 people. So they're like, wow, 50,000 people. That's going to be representative. So we'll just take a 500. We'll take 500 people from this small subset of the population to try to represent what is actually happening in the population. But why don't we just go to the population, right? This is way bigger than 50,000, and I have no idea where they're getting their data, right? Some of them might just be polls, right? So you're going to have a bias of who's actually going to pay attention to the poll, because I'm not going to pay attention to a poll. And I don't know about you, but you're never going to get my information if you're calling on a landline. Right? So the other thing about Facebook is, according to SimilarWeb, which does track the popularity of websites around the country, Facebook is number three most popular website in the planet, which just means there's a boatload of attention on that platform. So what we did is we went to Social Blade and we took each one of the candidates' Facebook profiles and we ranked them on 4 different factors. We looked at the total number of likes over the last 30 days, the total number of people that are talking about them, and the growth rate in both of those things. So we stack ranked the candidates in each one of those 4 categories, 1 through 9, who had the most people talking about them, who had the least people talking about them, who had the highest growth rate in people talking about them, who had the lowest growth rate in people talking about them. That's over a 2-week period. And then the number of likes over the last 30 days, and then the growth rate in the likes over a 2-week period. All I have is data for the last 2 weeks. So we get this snapshot and we stack rank the candidates before coming up with an overall score to see who is actually number 1. And I put all that together into a spreadsheet and came up with the top 5 candidates, who are Bernie Sanders, Michael Bloomberg, that was kind of interesting, Andrew Yang, Joe Biden, and Pete Buttigieg round out the top 5. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are down below in the comment section. If you use the hashtag STOLT, then we get into the Q&A at the end of the video. We can actually talk about your comment when I search in my YouTube analytics. So let's dive a little bit into the numbers here. The 2 most important factors are the total number of likes and the total number of people talking about them. The growth rates are important, but it's just a small portion of the overall score, right? Like if I have 10 followers and you have 1 million followers, and I get 10 new followers, I'm growing 100%. If you get, say, 1,000 new followers, right, 10x what I'm getting, your growth rate's still going to be smaller than mine. even though you got 10 times more followers than I am. So it does indicate something, but it's only a small portion of our actual overall score. So when we take a look at these, Bernie Sanders just like walks all over everybody. He's got double what anybody else has. But we look at the growth rate, people are not talking about him as much. Kind of interesting. This also could be, and I'm going to touch on Elizabeth Warren in a second, this could also be because of what happened with Elizabeth Warren at the last debate. He saw a spike in the people talking about him, and now that's coming back to more of a baseline because this number is volatile, right? You have people talking about him in a 2-week period, and then then maybe they don't talk about him again in 2 weeks. So this is a fairly volatile number, but still there's some type of baseline where the candidates tend to sit, even if they do have spikes up and down. And the next is Michael Bloomberg, 420,000 people. I think he's built up a lot of goodwill from, I think he was mayor or something of New York, or mayor, I don't know. He was something in New York, I think. And I think he built up a lot of name recognition through what he did over there and through his organizations. And then he's also gotten a lot of money to utilize to help him gain more awareness, right? So you can get awareness through organic, or you can get it through paid. And like, obviously, I think ideally you're gonna have both of those working together, but you can also use your money to help your organic, right? And in a strategic way, using the creative that you use in an organic way to try to get people to organically share your shit more often, but you're doing it in a paid fashion. So you're paying people essentially to try to get them to share your information more. I have no idea what they're doing, but that Hawkfish thing company that he started just looks like a marketing agency. And I don't know if he has like, according to some of the data they have on LinkedIn and on their website, and he's recruiting from his Mike 2020 website. I think there could be something interesting going on there. Like he says supposedly Democratic candidate leaders are like on board with him. So I don't know if there's some like shady shit going on in the background, or if it's just completely above the board. I don't know. We don't have the information to see what is happening, but whatever it is working, he is getting a lot of people to talk about him, and good job in terms of getting your message out. The next couple people we have are kind of in the same area. We have Tom Steyer, Joe Biden, and Pete Buttigieg. Out of all the different 9 rankings that we do before bringing all those up and rolling them into our power rankings, I think Facebook and Google probably capture some of the biggest amount of people who are not necessarily going to be captured on, say, TikTok or Instagram, right? You're going to capture a different segment of the voting population on these other platforms, but you don't want to neglect where baby boomers or other generations might be that are older than baby boomers. So, like, if we wanted to exclude certain demographics from the population of our sampling for this, we could just look at Real Clear Politics, because that's what's happening right there. Let's go over here. Andrew Yang is in the top here, or rounding out the bottom 3 here. We have Andrew Yang, Amy Klobuchar, and Tulsi Gabbard. But when we look at the growth rates here, we see that there's like 4 people that are above 50% growth rates in terms of people talking about them. So that's pretty substantial. But then again, look at this. Bernie Sanders, he had a 33% drop. A 33% drop, and he's still at 850,000 people talking about him. The amount of attention that Bernie Sanders has in terms of people that are talking about him is tremendous. I've seen that same in terms of marketing these videos on Twitter with his hashtag versus, say, the only other person who has some like level of the same degree of awareness is Andrew Yang on Twitter. And in the past couple weeks, I've seen it go from, say, Andrew Yang having the most amount of hashtag associated usage on Twitter to actually Bernie 2020 surpassing that in terms of how much people are talking about them in a specific time period. So I thought that was kind of interesting to actually see play out. Let's take a total look at the total number of likes again, look at this. Bernie Sanders has 86,000. So this is also kind of interesting too, because we're going to highlight Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren after their debate performance, but more specifically when Elizabeth Warren came up to him. I had made the comment in another video that that's not necessarily something, and I don't follow the candidates, what they say, I don't follow their policies, I don't follow anything that they say, just the tiny little bits of information that I pick up as I'm marketing this content, right? So I'll make this and I'll use Twitter or Facebook or LinkedIn or medium.com or other places to market this content. And as I'm doing that marketing, I might pick up little bits here and there. So I picked up that 7-second clip or 12-second clip of her saying something to Bernie, and Bernie saying, "Hey, let's not do this," and she withholding her hand from shaking his hand, and I was just like, that's not the behavior I would personally want in a leader if I was running a company or to run the country. So that was only one data point, right? So I have no idea the context of the situation. However, I think a lot of people potentially agreed, because look at the aftermath. This is over the past 30 days in terms of the total number of likes. Over the last 30 days, Bernie has gained 86,000 plus new likes on his Facebook page. Elizabeth Warren, 1,200, and you can hear the pin drop. And that's over the last 30 days, but over the last 2 weeks, because the way they break down the data, I can't see the full 30 days for Facebook, but just over the last 2 weeks, she's lost followers. Today's 1/26/2020, and she's lost followers over that time period. So I think that, at least to some degree, there's a lot of people who would agree with my snap, very little understanding of the context judgment of that situation, because like, if you're going to have somebody act like that, you can see that's at least, like, there's not cause. I don't have a direct correlation there, but I see this happen, and then I see it affecting the numbers. So I don't know. And I'm doing this for several months now, so I don't know if that's exactly the case, but I do see that her numbers are getting impacted in a negative way across the board. She's not doing super well on Facebook. She's losing attention on Facebook. She's losing, people like are unliking her Facebook page. That's what that means. They are unliking her Facebook page. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are down below in the comment section. Just like Jeremy here, use the hashtag Stolt. Jeremy Lessard leaves a comment. Thank you for the comment, first of all. This is from 2 hours ago. Bloomberg has two benefits right now as far as website ranking. Being newish, he's still getting visits because everybody has to go there once, myself included. Plus, he's flooding YouTube with ads, and I've ended up on his page twice by trying to skip the ad. Yes, like that little skip button sometimes is super small when you're trying to skip an ad on a video and you just go to that video. That is a good point. But I do also think that there's a lot of, and he leaves Yang Gang as a hashtag. So like Yang Gang, right, has a lot of people who know who he is, but there's a boatload of fucking people who don't know who he is or have any idea who he is, right? Jeremy, I thank you so much for the comment. You and myself and many of the people who watch this video kind of slightly follow what's going on. Remember, I don't follow what the candidates are saying, but I want to understand the truth of what's actually happening that's not based on a poll of fucking 470 people. I want to know what the actual data says. And when I'm looking at that data, it just seems that there's such a tremendous opportunity to get the message out, because there's so much more, like say from the Google search volume rankings, the YouTube search volume rankings, the Instagram rankings, the YouTube channel rankings, the Facebook rankings, the Twitter rankings, like the TikTok rankings, to understand Generation Z. All these pieces kind of come together to give the most, and they roll up into the most comprehensive ranking that we have here. So I think that he has some new people for sure that are checking him out. I think he's got a lot of goodwill recognition built up. I'm not sure what's going on behind the scenes in terms of who is supporting him from the DNC side of things. I don't know. It should be pretty interesting to see how this plays out. He is pouring in a ton of money. I honestly could see, if we were to say exclude everybody and we were just talking about Joe Biden, Tom Steyer, and Bloomberg, right? Out of those three people, I could see Tom or Michael Bloomberg stepping in front of Joe Biden as having being able to present to the American public that they are like have the confidence to be able to execute on running a country, where I don't think personally, I don't think that maybe not necessarily a lot of people would appreciate what Joe Biden's bringing to the table, but I have no idea. Remember, I don't follow these contacts. This is just a little tidbits of little headlines or memes or GIFs that people share that I happen to see as I'm marketing these videos. Jeremy, thank you so much for that comment. The YouTube ads, YouTube pre-roll ads seem to be very underpriced. I'm learning how to run them myself, so I will keep you guys posted if it starts working for me. I will definitely keep you guys posted. Also, I did just quit my job about 45 days ago, 50 days ago, and if you guys have anything to purchase on Amazon and want to support the channel, there's a link in the description. I'm trying to set up Patreon. I set it up, and I'm trying to figure out how to get the different tiers in there to set up for the research, because I'd also like to be able to put out a ranking like this on a national level, but also a statewide ranking every single day. But I also have to figure out how to make money and that kind of thing. So anyways, if you guys want to support the channel, there's links in the description. I appreciate you guys. Jump over to Instagram as well. The next comment is from Anita Yang. Marianne Williamson had an event with Yang yesterday. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. This is from 13 hours ago. Wonder if it makes a difference. Yang Gang, Marianne Williams in Iowa. And then Verily Gray. It was really good, though. She really supports him well. Interesting. I think a while back, Andrew Yang had tweeted about Marianne Williams and how he enjoyed some of the things that she was saying. That's interesting as well, because I think she dropped out. I believe. I'm pretty sure. I thought I saw something where she dropped out. So if she starts endorsing him and can also use her awareness that she has created to help pull in more support for him. In all honesty, like, I'm doing these to try to understand the truth, and what I've been seeing out of all 9 of these different factors is that there's like what the mainstream media says is reality, but then there's like one person who stands out different from what the mainstream media stands out. It tends to be Andrew Yang. He's in that top 5, in the top 3 in most of these rankings, right? But according to Real Clear Politics, he's what, 6th? So I don't see, and even on Google, like the search volume, these are all of America searching for candidates, not biasly answering a question in a poll where they don't have the representation of the entire population in a fucking sample size of 500 people. Right? These are people going to the web and searching on YouTube for Andrew Yang, Joe Biden, etc., etc. And to have somebody who the mainstream media just doesn't talk about coming in the top 3, like, that's interesting to me. I want to know what's actually going on, and I appreciate you guys. If you guys still with me, share this message with somebody else. I'm trying to get this out. I'd love to be able to have this up on a website before the next couple months, so that you guys can see all of the data that I'm seeing in real time, and you can play around with it to show exactly what's happening, not just some poll with a couple hundred people in it. And I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe and press that bell notification so YouTube can notify you every time I post a video. If you guys want to jump over to Twitter, give a follow, or ask any questions, I will potentially use those in the video. Peace.